Good morning, Mrs. Gray and colleagues. Today we're going to show you our presentation about Cardielosgo electronics. Our aim is to help schools who can't afford to buy a computer. We're going to present you the types of computers we accept for donations and the reason why we chose them, as well as how we're going to solve the problems of digital divide. The types of computers that the company accepts are laptops. One of the main reasons we only accept laptops is because they are mainly portable. This is a positive solution because students can carry their laptops to their homes and teach their family how to use a computer. They can interact with it and be able to improve their skills on the laptop. Another reason why the company only accepts laptops is because they do not have to be connected to a power supply outlet all the time. If the electricity suddenly stops, you will not lose your data. A disadvantage of using laptops are if a student has to borrow a laptop, it might get stolen, since the criminal rates in El Salvador are very high because of the gangs members. Another disadvantage will be if the mouse, keyboard, or monitor gets ruined, you will have to stop using the laptop in order to put it in maintenance. We thought about different solutions or different type of computer we could accept as donations, and these were desktop computers. But the reason we didn't accept desktop computers is because it is hard to find the peripherals in order to make it operate correctly. This means that we need a CPU, a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, speakers, wires, and a constant electrical power source. Therefore, if a CPU is donated by itself, we will need to buy or wait for all the equipment in order to run it correctly, which can be expensive in the long run. For example, if the desktop or the monitor costs $29.99, the speakers cost $28.50, the keyboard and mouse cost altogether $16.99, it will make a total cost of $75.48. So let's say if we need 100 computers in total, it will make a total cost of $7,548, and that's way too much. The specifications of laptops that we're going to accept are from Pentium 4 processors with 1.6 GHz or equivalent. We accept laptops of all sizes. They could be from 10 inches to 17-inch monitors, manufactured after 2002. The restrictions of the laptop is that they need to be either Dell, Toshiba, or Compaq. This is because if a laptop gets damaged, we know that these companies will be able to repair it for us in El Salvador. Meanwhile, while companies like Gateway or Alienware does not have any repair shops available in El Salvador. Other companies like Sony will have a higher repair cost for their laptops. We also accept any type of peripherals like mouse, keyboards, and speakers. The general form to donate a laptop will be using this form. You will need to fill out your approximate volume for each type to collect your details like your name, the company, street, city, postcode, telephone, email, and the collection point if different from El Salvador. The operating system our company decided to use will be Ubuntu, that comes from the operating system Linux. And I know that you're thinking right now about the 15-year-old tech support guide that I always rave about. Linux created a user-friendly cable box under your TV, and also the system that runs your GPS navigation system in your car. Odds are that you're already using Linux and you don't even know it. Ubuntu is an incredible fast operating system. It's very secure and can be powered by desktop servers, netbooks, and laptops. The most important part is that it is free. Ubuntu is a free and open source software. It means that it is a free software in which a source code is available for everyone to use. This could be to improve it, study it, modify it, and share the original and the modifications with other people. Therefore, Ubuntu can be changed for our specific needs, like a more attractive user interface. The Ubuntu Requirement Netbook Edition will be into Intel Atom processor at 1.6 GHz, 512 MB of system memory RAM, 4 GB of disk space, a screen of 1024x600 resolution, and graphic chipset with support for visual effects. The pros for Ubuntu would be that it runs on just about any hardware, more options than any other system, way more secure than Windows or even OS X, a full access to free open source library of hardware, and the Linux management is much easier. The cons are that the latest and greatest hardware is typically slower to reach on Linux. It has a limited vendor support and a limited support for property application. We also consider about other operating systems such as Windows. Its pros is that more than 80% of the desktop run on some sort of Windows operating system. You won't have any trouble in having to find any hardware and drivers. You won't have any problem finding any support in the large shareware and freeware application library. The negative parts of having a Windows are the following. The virus. Windows has lots of different viruses, malware and spyware that can be dangerous for your computer. The user has to be very careful in which things you download and what website to visit in order to be safe from this type of viruses. In this case, the user will be children, so it cannot be appropriate or considered. You're going to also need support. The general instability due to the sheer numbers of possible configuration, it has pure security and unlimited access to free open source software. The Windows XP box costs about $124.99, Windows Vista costs $109.99, and Windows 7 costs $109.99. On the other hand, Apple is easier to use for the non-technical. Content creation it is strength, more secure than Windows and more stable than Windows. Almost no spyware or virus application. Almost complete access to a enormous library of free open source software. But it's more expensive than the other choices. It has less support, so you have to go directly to Apple if there's any hardware problems, and it's less hardware choices than Windows. The hardware that we're going to implement is Braille keyboard. It costs currently $64.95, and we'll explain the keyboard later in the presentation. The software that we're going to use as a browser will be Google Chrome, EVG as an antivirus, eSpeaking as a voice recognition software, OpenOffice as a document, iTunes as music entertainment, GIMP as an editor tool, QuickTime as a video reproduction, and an implemented firewall.
Now we're going to explain digital divide and the solutions to it. Lack of infrastructure. This problem is about how some schools lack the resources in order to have an IT lab. For example, in most of the rural areas of El Salvador, they don't have access to computers, stable electricity, or even buildings to store the equipment. Lack of IT training. This problem is self-explanatory. The education in El Salvador is very basic. There is 17% illiteracy rate, and very few people know how to use a computer. Lack of finance. Most of the schools don't have money to invest into this kind of equipment. Language or lack of language. One of the problems is that most of the internet connected content is in English, which most of the population of El Salvador don't know how to speak or read it. Dexterity or mobility. People are not used to handle a computer. This includes using the mouse, keyboard, and user interface. Therefore, they have a hard time being able to type fast on the computer. Disabilities. This is a problem in which are unable to use their hands and unable to talk. Lack of interest. Most of the elder people in El Salvador and teachers won't have the initiative to learn how to use a computer and be able to use them effectively in their class for learning purposes. So, how are we going to solve this problem? Well, for lack of infrastructure, we thought about using solar panels in school. This could be a good solution because in El Salvador, most of the year is sunny, so this means lots of energy will be produced in order to maintain this computer running. It uses the solar energy and changes it into electrical energy in order to be used by a computer. But the problem with having solar panels is that it costs too much. One solar electric system would cost $20,000. Lack of IT training. A good solution to this would be to hire someone in order to teach people on how to use a computer. This would be a good way to have instant help or to attend query when needed. The negative effects of having to hire people is that there may not be enough people to hire. Even they may not be qualified, time consuming, and we need to pay them a salary, which is an additional cost. Ultimately, we will ask for volunteers to teach the students about IT, maybe CAS students. Another solution is to add a software that might help the use of the computers as in a tutorial way. When you first get it into a computer, showing all of the main features to what the computers do, as to also integrate something such as a help tool that can aid you on screen. We need to remember that not necessarily these type of solutions are the best, as it may take time and money to invest into. Lack of finance. Obviously, we are providing some type of help by giving out computers at free charge, no cost, meaning that money would be no longer a problem to these schools. Using freeware such as Ubuntu would lower the cost. If we meant to use Windows as an operating system, it would mean that we would need to pay for each serial code operating system. In order to install it for each computer, we decided to reassemble. There would be campaigns to help get funds in order to pay for the repairs of the laptops. Language. Ubuntu is in 24 languages. Windows is capable to add any other language as well as Linux. And as well, most of the internet is in English, so Google Chrome has a solution to this. It has a bar that allows you to translate the whole page to your desired language in seconds and no problem understanding it. Now we're going to show you a video of a game that helps dexterity and mobility. As you can see, as you start to type the letters, the video game characters advances the level. It shows also the fingers you need to use in order to type the letters. Lack of interest. Games such as Mario teaches typing, as shown in the previous slide, teaches students and while having fun. Another solution to this would be using custom themes in order to appeal to the younger students. The theme would have brighter colors and larger icons for the children to use it with ease. Disabilities. One of the solutions is voice recognition software. This software captures your voice and determines what commands to use depending on what you said. For example, if you want to open the internet browser, you would only need to say to your computer, "Open internet browser." Another solution is Braille keyboard with USB connectors. It converts existing computers for use by the visually impaired, enable those losing their sight to learn Braille. Keyboard is ready to plug in. Braille labels are already installed. The Braille legends are embossed to meet Americans with Disability Act standards. The clear backing allows the legends to show through for sighted users. The price of the keyboard is $64.95. I hope you consider our propositions and thank you for your attention.